Welcome to Tales of Tomorrow, where we bring you spine-tingling stories from beyond the realm of the known. In tonight's episode, we bring you a thrilling tale of terror and courage, where a group of urban explorers must confront their darkest fears in order to save their own lives and bring peace to restless spirits. Gather around, dim the lights, and join us as we journey into the harrowing world of the abandoned Dymphna Hospital. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, sinister shadows over the once majestic St. Dymphna Hospital. 4 figures stood hesitantly at the entrance, their breaths visible in the chilly evening air. Each one was battling their own fears as they prepared to enter the decaying, infamous building. "Alice, are you sure about this?" Claire asked, her voice barely a whisper as her eyes darted nervously around the darkened facade. "Come on, Claire," Alice responded with a grin, her excitement and curiosity palpable. "This is the chance of a lifetime. Just imagine the things we'll discover inside." Ben rolled his eyes, trying to maintain his usual skepticism. "You really believe all those ghost stories? This place is just an old abandoned hospital. It's creepy, sure, but there's no such thing as ghosts." Dave, busy tinkering with his state-of-the-art infrared camera, chimed in. "You never know, Ben. There have been countless reports of paranormal activity here. It's worth checking out at least." With a collective deep breath, the group stepped cautiously through the crumbling entrance, their flashlights slicing through the darkness. The air inside was musty, heavy with the scent of decay and despair. As they ventured further into the hospital, they noticed bizarre graffiti scrawled across the walls, warning them of unseen dangers that lurked within. The eerie atmosphere was oppressive, weighing on them like a malevolent presence. Claire clung to Alice's arm, her wide eyes filled with terror. Alice, however, remained undeterred, her face a mask of determination. As they navigated the hospital's winding corridors, they stumbled upon a room filled with remnants of its sinister past. Rusting surgical tools and forsaken medical equipment lay scattered across the floor, while dusty, moth-eaten curtains hung limply from the ceiling. The air hung thick with the ghosts of pain and suffering that had once permeated these halls. Suddenly, a distant sound echoed through the building, sending a collective shiver down their spines. It was an unsettling mix of footsteps and muffled whispers that seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once. The group exchanged nervous glances, unsure if they should proceed or retreat. "Well, that's just the wind or something, right?" Ben stammered, trying to convince himself more than the others. "Maybe," Alice said hesitantly, her voice wavering for the first time. "But there's only one way to find out." With their hearts pounding in their chests, they ventured deeper into the haunted halls of St. Dymphna Hospital, unaware of the chilling horrors that awaited them. The group continued their exploration, feeling as if they were descending further into a nightmare with each step they took. The hospital's decaying walls seemed to whisper haunting secrets, a testament to the suffering that had taken place within them. As they moved deeper into the bowels of the building, the unsettling noises grew louder and more frequent. Footsteps echoed from the floors above, and distant voices murmured incoherently, like souls lost in the void. Even Ben, the staunch skeptic, couldn't deny the unnerving atmosphere. "Okay," he admitted, rubbing his arms against the sudden chill that enveloped them. "I can't explain everything we're hearing, but it doesn't mean there are ghosts lurking around every corner." Dave, busy setting up his electromagnetic field detector, nodded. "True, but these readings are off the charts. It could be a sign of paranormal activity, or at least some kind of residual energy." The group continued, their curiosity now mixed with a growing sense of unease. They found themselves in a long, dimly lit hallway, lined with rotting doors. The paint on the walls was peeling, and the floor was littered with debris from the collapsing ceiling. Suddenly, Alice stopped dead in her tracks, her eyes fixed on something in the distance. Her breath caught in her throat as she whispered, "Guys, do you see that?" At the far end of the hallway, a flickering light revealed the ghostly figure of a nurse. Her face was twisted in anguish, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. She raised a trembling hand, pointing towards a door that seemed to be calling to them. Claire let out a small whimper and clutched Alice's arm tighter. Ben, trying to maintain his composure, offered a shaky explanation. It must be a trick of the light, or some kind of optical illusion. Alice, however, wasn't so sure. She felt a connection to the spectral figure, as if it were trying to tell them something important. With a determined nod, she led the group towards the door, her heart pounding with anticipation and dread. As they entered the room, they discovered it was an abandoned psychiatric ward. The walls were adorned with disturbing artwork, and the rusted remnants of restraints were still attached to the beds. The air was heavy with an all-consuming sadness that seemed to seep into their very souls. In the far corner of the room, partially hidden behind a crumbling bookshelf, they found a hidden door. With trepidation, they pushed it open, revealing a small, dimly lit room. The walls were lined with dusty shelves, filled with yellowed medical records and chilling black and white photographs of former patients. Dave pulled out a record at random, his eyes widening as he read the horrifying details of inhumane experiments and brutal treatments. "Guys, we've stumbled upon something truly dark and twisted here. These records, they're a nightmare." As the group delved deeper into the horrific history of St. Dymphna Hospital, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched by unseen eyes. They were no longer just explorers. They were intruders in a realm of shadows, tormented spirits, and unspeakable horrors. And as the weight of the hospital's dark secrets bore down on them, they couldn't help but wonder if they would ever leave this nightmare alive. The group couldn't tear their eyes away from the horrifying records, each one detailing a gruesome tale of misery and torment. As they delved deeper into the hidden room, they began to hear soft, mournful whispers carried on the stale air. Alice glanced around, her eyes wide with fear. "Can you hear that? It's like they're speaking to us, trying to tell us something." Claire's grip on Alice's arm tightened, her body trembling uncontrollably. "I don't like this, Alice. We shouldn't be here. It feels like we're disturbing something that should be left alone." Ben, although visibly shaken, attempted to maintain his rational perspective. "Look, it's just the wind, or maybe some old pipes. This place is falling apart. It's bound to make strange noises." But Dave wasn't so sure. As he scanned the room with his infrared camera, he noticed several unexplained cold spots, each one more chilling than the last. "These temperature fluctuations don't make sense, and the whispers, they sound almost human." As they continued to explore the hidden chamber, the whispers grew louder and more insistent, swirling around them like a malevolent maelstrom. The atmosphere was thick with sorrow and anger, a tangible force that seemed to be closing in on them from all sides. Suddenly a loud bang echoed through the room, as if some unseen force had slammed a door shut. The group froze, their hearts pounding in their chests as they realized they were trapped. Claire let out a sob, tears streaming down her face. "We're never getting out of here, are we? We're going to die in this place." Alice wrapped her arm around her friend, trying to offer comfort despite her own terror. "We'll find a way out, Claire, I promise. We just need to stay calm and stick together." Ben, his skepticism eroding with each passing moment, nodded in agreement. "Alice is right. We need to keep our heads and figure out a way to escape." Dave continued to monitor the room with his camera and equipment, desperate to find an explanation for the chilling events that were unfolding. As he focused on a particularly intense cold spot, he noticed something that made his blood run cold. A vengeful spirit, its features twisted with rage and pain, loomed before them. Its eyes burned with an otherworldly fire, and its mouth contorted into a silent scream. It demanded a sacrifice, a human soul to appease its eternal torment. The group exchanged terrified glances, realizing that one of them would have to make the ultimate sacrifice if they were ever to escape the nightmare that had become their reality. And as the spirit's anger intensified, they knew they had to make a decision, and fast. The vengeful spirit's presence was suffocating, its wrathful gaze never leaving the group as they huddled together, paralyzed with fear. The air was thick with tension and desperation, as they realized that one of them had to make the ultimate sacrifice to save the others. Ben, his voice trembling, attempted to reason with the spirit. "Please, we didn't mean to disturb you. We were just curious. Can't you let us go?" But the spirit remained unmoved, its ghostly fingers clawing at the air, the darkness in its eyes growing ever more menacing. Claire, sobbing uncontrollably, whispered to Alice, "What are we going to do? We can't just sacrifice one of us. It's not right." Alice, though her heart ached with fear and sorrow, knew that they had no other choice. "We have to decide, Claire. If we don't, we'll all be trapped here forever." Dave, who had been silently observing the spirit with his camera, finally spoke up. His voice was calm and steady, despite the turmoil churning within him. "I'll do it. I'll be the sacrifice." The others stared at him in shock, disbelief etched on their faces. "Dave, you can't," Ben protested. "There has to be another way." But Dave shook his head, his eyes filled with determination. "There is no other way, Ben. I've always been fascinated by the paranormal. and maybe this is my chance to truly understand it. Besides, I can't let any of you face this." With a heavy heart, Alice nodded in agreement, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're incredibly brave, Dave. We'll never forget you." As the group said their tearful goodbyes, the vengeful spirit's anger seemed to subside slightly, as if it recognized the gravity of the sacrifice being offered. Dave took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was about to happen. "I'm ready," he whispered, his voice barely audible. The spirit loomed closer, its ethereal form merging with Dave's trembling body. As the possession took hold, the room filled with a blinding flash of light, leaving the others shielding their eyes. When the light faded, they saw Dave, or what was left of him, standing before them. His eyes now held a ghostly fire, a haunting reminder of the sacrifice he had made. In an otherworldly voice he spoke. "Go, I will show you the way out. But hurry, you must leave this place before it's too late." As the group followed their possessed friend through the haunted halls of St. Dymphna Hospital, they couldn't shake the overwhelming grief that weighed on them. They had lost one of their own to the darkness, and their lives would never be the same. But as they navigated the twisting corridors, guided by forces beyond their comprehension, they knew that they couldn't let Dave's sacrifice be in vain. They had to expose the sinister secrets of the hospital and put an end to the nightmare that had claimed so many innocent lives. And as they stumbled upon a hidden passage leading to the outside world, they knew that their journey was only just beginning. As the group emerged from the hidden passage, the cold night air filled their lungs, a harsh reminder of the cruel world they had left behind. The hospital loomed ominously above them, casting ghostly shadows that seemed to reach out, desperate to pull them back into the darkness. Alice looked back at the decaying structure, her eyes filled with a fierce determination. "We have to make sure Dave's sacrifice wasn't in vain. We need to expose the truth about this place and put an end to the suffering that still lingers here." Claire wiped away her tears, nodding in agreement. "You're right, Alice. But how do we even begin to uncover the secrets hidden within these walls?" Ben, still reeling from the loss of their friend, found solace in the idea of bringing justice to the tormented souls trapped within the hospital. "We start by researching its history, speaking to locals and gathering evidence. We need to build a case that can't be ignored." As the group left the haunting grounds of St. Dymphna Hospital, they began their quest for the truth, determined to shed light on the darkness that had claimed so many lives. They spent weeks poring over old newspaper articles, tracking down former employees, and interviewing family members of patients who had suffered within the hospital's walls. Through their research, they discovered a chilling pattern of abuse, neglect, and sinister experiments, all hidden behind the facade of a reputable institution. The more they uncovered, the more they realized just how deep the darkness ran, its tendrils reaching into the very heart of the community. Armed with their newfound knowledge, Alice, Claire and Ben decided to return to St. Dymphna Hospital, determined to confront the lingering spirits and offer them a chance for redemption. With each step they took into the decaying structure, the memories of their previous encounter weighed heavily on them, a constant reminder of the danger they faced. As they explored the haunted halls, they came face to face with the restless souls that remained trapped within the building. With each encounter they shared the stories they had uncovered, offering solace and understanding to the tormented spirits. As the truth was revealed, the hospital seemed to change before their eyes, the oppressive darkness lifting ever so slightly. Finally, they found themselves once again standing before Dave's spirit, his ghostly eyes filled with both sadness and gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice echoing through the now silent halls. "You've brought peace to so many who have suffered here, including me." As they said their final goodbyes to their friend, the group knew that their work was far from over. They had only just begun to scratch the surface of the darkness that lay hidden within St. Dymphna Hospital and countless other places like it. But they also knew that they were no longer alone in their fight. They carried the memories of the lost souls they had encountered and the unwavering spirit of their fallen friend, a beacon of hope in a world filled with shadows. With their mission to uncover the sinister secrets of St. Dymphna Hospital complete, Alice, Claire and Ben turned their attention to other haunted locations, driven by a newfound purpose. They formed a group called the Shadow Chasers, dedicated to investigating paranormal phenomena and bringing peace to the restless spirits they encountered. As word of their work spread, they began to receive requests for help from people all over the country, desperate to find answers to the mysteries that haunted their lives. With each investigation, the group honed their skills and learned more about the supernatural world that existed just beyond the veil of reality. They encountered spirits of all kinds, from the vengeful and tormented to those who simply sought closure before moving on to the afterlife. And with each successful case, the shadow chasers gained a deeper understanding of the delicate balance between life and death, and the importance of standing up for those who could no longer speak for themselves. During their investigations, they also discovered a network of other paranormal investigators, some of whom had experienced similar losses and were driven by the same desire for justice. They forged alliances with these like-minded individuals, sharing their knowledge and resources in the pursuit of truth and redemption. As the years went by, the legend of the Shadow Chasers grew, and their influence spread far beyond their small community. They became a beacon of hope for those who had been touched by the darkness, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable horror, there was always a chance for redemption and healing. And although they knew that they could never replace their friend Dave, the group found solace in the knowledge that his spirit lived on in their work. They often felt his presence during their investigations, a gentle reminder that they were never truly alone in their fight against the darkness. As the sun set on another successful mission, Alice, Claire and Ben stood together, gazing out over the city that had become their battleground. They knew that their journey was far from over, and that there would always be more mysteries to solve and spirits to save. But they also knew that they had made a difference, not only for the lost souls they had encountered, but for themselves as well. Together, they had turned their pain and loss into a powerful force for good, a legacy that would echo through the ages and inspire others to stand up against the darkness. And as they prepared to embark on their next adventure, they felt a sense of peace and determination, knowing that they were part of something much greater than themselves, a legacy of light in a world of shadows. Thank you for joining us on this spine-tingling adventure with the Shadow Chasers. As we close the doors to St. Dymphna Hospital, we leave behind a tale of sacrifice, redemption, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship. Remember, there's always a glimmer of hope, even in the darkest of places. Stay tuned for more chilling stories from Tales of Tomorrow. Until then, keep the lights on and sleep tight.